All right, let's continue our studying of Pathfinder 2. We're working our way through all of the skills and the related skill feats. We're just reading the archives of Nethys, and we're just trying to kind of digest all the different rules and things that are going on in this system. This is in tandem with playing the game every Tuesday night to try and learn it actively, as well as listening to a metric shitload of videos about how to play and all of that. So, with all of that sort of established and out of the way, let's continue with Intimidation. Intimidation is a charisma-based skill in Pathfinder 2. And what can it do? What can it do? You bend others to your will using threats. Now, my understanding is in 5th edition D&D, it is a very popular house rule and also an optional rule in both Xanatar's and the DM's Guild, whatever, Dungeon Master's Guide, to allow strength for Intimidate or some other ability. That doesn't seem to happen very much in Pathfinder, from what I understand. They do want you to stick with Charisma for Intimidate. I imagine that there are some groups out there that allow you to use Strength for your Intimidation. Hey, what's up, Orf? But we'll find out. We'll find out. Changing attitudes. Your influence on NPCs is measured with a set of attitudes that reflect how they view your character. These are only a brief summary of a creature's disposition. The GM will supply additional nuance based on the history and the beliefs of the characters you are interacting with, and their attitudes can change in accordance with the story. The attitudes are detailed on the conditions page and are summarized here. Keep in mind, on the conditions page, I believe there are 40 different conditions in the game. Might be more than that. We've already discussed these in previous videos, but helpful, friendly, indifferent, unfriendly, and hostile. Helpful is willing to help you and respond favorably to your request. Friendly has a good attitude towards you, but won't necessarily stick their neck out to help you. Indifferent doesn't care about you either way. Most NPCs start out indifferent. Unfriendly dislikes you and doesn't want to help you. And hostile is actively working against you and might attack you just because of their dislike. No one can ever change the attitude of a player character with these skills. You can roleplay interactions with other player characters and even use diplomacy results if the player wants, I would say, or intimidation results, if the player wants a mechanical sense of how convincing or charming a character is. But players make the ultimate decision about how their characters respond, ... unless magic has been used. Alright, we'll look at the feats last. There are not as many items to help you with Intimidation as some of the other skills. This is rather surprising. I wonder if mechanically Intimidation is more powerful, but this does seem to be significantly less items available. Alright, what can you do untrained? What can anybody with Intimidation try to do? You can try to coerce somebody. This is auditory, concentrate, emotion, exploration, linguistics, and mental. With threats, either veiled or overt, you attempt to bully a creature into doing what you want. You must spend at least 1 minute of conversation with a creature you can see, and that can either see or sense you. That's even better than hearing. At the end of the conversation, attempt an intimidation check against the target's will DC, modified by any circumstances the GM determines. The attitudes referenced in the effects below are summarized in the Changing Attitudes sidebar and described in full in the conditions page. Alright. We've already mentioned all those things. Critical success. The target gives you the information you seek or agrees to follow your directives, so long as they aren't likely to harm the target in any way. The target continues to comply for an amount of time determined by the GM, but not exceeding 1 day, at which point the target becomes unfriendly if they weren't already unfriendly or hostile. However, the target is too scared of you to retaliate, at least in the short term. On a regular success, it's like a critical success, but once the target becomes unfriendly, they might decide to act against you, for example, reporting you to the authorities or assisting your enemies. A failure means that they don't do what you say, and if they were not already unfriendly or hostile, they become unfriendly. And then critical failure, the target refuses to comply, becomes hostile if they weren't already, and can't be coerced by you for at least 1 week. I really love these degrees of success. It's very hard not to just start using as much of this as possible in 5e just to make the game feel a bit more like deep, you know? Demoralize. Demoralize is a one-action, auditory, concentrate, emotion, fear, mental. For the cost of a single Pac-Man, you can, with a sudden shout, a well-timed taunt, or a cutting put-down, you can shake an enemy's resolve. Choose a creature within 30 feet of you who you're aware of and attempt an intimidation check against their will DC. If the target does not understand the language you are speaking, or you're not speaking a language, you take a -4 circumstance penalty to the check. Regardless of your result, the target is temporarily immune to your attempts to demoralize for 10 minutes. If you critically succeed, they are frightened 2, which is very strong. And if you succeed, they are frightened 1, which is still pretty handy. I did not know that you could only do this once every 10 minutes per target. That is interesting to note. And that's it, baby. That's all you can do with Intimidation. Wow. All right. Let's see what the Intimidation feats have to offer. So we'll go check out the feats. If this one goes quick, I'll have time to do a little bit of Curse of Strahd prep before my game starts. Let's see. Intimidation feats. These are general feats. They can be taken by anybody unless they say otherwise. The first is called Group Coercion. This is a level 1 general skill feat for Intimidation. When you coerce, you can compare your Intimidation check results to the will DC of 2 creatures instead of 1. It's possible to get a different degree of success for each target. The number of targets you can coerce in a single action increases to 4 as an expert, 10 if you're a master, and 25 if you are legendary. That sounds fantastic. Sadly, it never gets higher than Fear 2, so I don't know. Still pretty good, though. Let's see. Next up is Intimidating Glare. Let's see. This is a level 1 general skill feat for Intimidation. You can demoralize with a mere glare. When you do, Demoralize loses the auditory trait and gains the visual trait, and you don't take a penalty if the creature doesn't understand your language. This leads to the special ability, or the extra feat, Terrifying Howl. This is a level 10 feat for Raging Barbarians. It is auditory. You unleash a terrifying howl. Attempt intimidation checks to demoralize each enemy within 30 feet. Regardless of the results of your check, each creature is then temporarily immune to Terrifying Howl for 1 minute, which is more than enough to encompass the entire combat, if we're being honest. Alright, interesting. And let's see. Heading back, we've got Quick Coercion. Quick Coercion is a level 1 general skill feat for Intimidation. You can bully others with just a few choice implications. You can coerce a creature after a single round of conversation instead of 1 minute. You still can't coerce a creature in the midst of combat or without engaging in a conversation. Alright, Reveal True Name. This is only if your GM is using the optional True Name secret rules. It is a rare feat. Level 1. Auditory, concentration, emotion, general, mental, skill, and true name. Jumpin' Jesus. You gotta have Intimidation and at least 1 magic skill. You attempt to get a creature to do as you wish by threatening them with the knowledge of their true name. You must know and speak the creature's true name and say what you want the creature to do. Attempt an Intimidation check against the creature's will DC. If you critically succeed, the target does as you say out of a sense of self-preservation and will not harm itself in any way. It becomes unfriendly if it wasn't already unfriendly or hostile, but continues to comply for up to 1 day. The target is too scared of you to retaliate or flee, certain you would find them wherever they go. It sounds very similar to just normal coercion. Success. As critical success, but once the target becomes unfriendly, they avoid you and might act against you in an indirect manner, such as alerting your enemies to your location. Failure. The target refuses to comply and typically flees your presence to avoid your further use of their true name. If they were not already unfriendly or hostile, they become unfriendly. They avoid you in the future and are likely to take indirect actions against you. And critical failure. The target refuses to comply, becomes hostile if it wasn't already. If they perceive you as weak, they might attack you. Otherwise, they are likely to flee to avoid your further use of their true name. I don't know if I'm ever going to bother with true names. I feel like there's enough crunch in the game already that I'm not going to worry about stamina, and I'm not going to worry about true names. It just feels like more to take on than I'm really ready to. Intimidating Prowess is a level 2 general skill feat for intimidation that also requires a strength 16. Oh no, maybe this is how you get strength. In situations where you can physically menace the target with when you coerce or demoralize, you get a +1 circumstance bonus to your intimidation check, and you ignore the penalty for not sharing a language. If your strength score is 20 or higher, and you're a master of intimidation, this bonus increases to +2. I would take that to mean that you can never substitute strength for charisma for this skill. Because why would they have something specifically like this if you could? Interesting. So I like that charisma can't really be a dump stat. Does intimidating have any interaction with any other statuses? I mean, it can cause fear. So that's the only one I've seen so far. Alright, then we've got Lasting Coercion. This is a level 2 general skill feat for intimidation. When you successfully coerce someone, the maximum time they comply increases to a week, still determined by the GM. If you're legendary, the maximum increases to a month. I love the idea of non-magical stuff happening. I love the fact that someone could be so intimidating that they basically cast a charm person on them for a fucking month. Just by mean mugging them for like 1 minute. That's cool to me. Alright. Terrifying Resistance. This is in the Advanced Player's Guide, so you know it's spicy. Alright, here we go. Feat 2, General Skill, Intimidation. The spells of those you have demoralized are less effective against you. If you succeed in demoralizing a creature, for the next 24 hours you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against that creature's spells. I know that every bonus helps, but like, this is kind of a weird one. How many spellcasters are you really going to be running into in the world that you would then immediately want to demoralize them, and then you would need this benefit to last 24 hours? Now keep in mind that this would stack with fear, right? I think, because fear is a status effect that is causing their DCs to go down by 1 or 2, depending on how well you used fear on them. And then you also have a +1 circumstance bonus. So in a way, if you critically demoralize a spellcaster, you now have a +3 to your saving throw against their spells. I'm just not sure how I feel about it. Feels very specialized. Battle Cry. Battle Cry is a level 7 general skill for intimidation. When you roll initiative, you can yell a mighty battle cry and demoralize an observed foe as a free action. If you're legendary in intimidation, you can use a reaction to demoralize your foe when you critically succeed at an attack roll. Well, you do crit a lot more in this system. I just feel like these intimidation ones are not holding up to the diplomacy ones. The diplomacy ones were so cool. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Skeptic's Defense. This is from the Dark Archives. It's an uncommon skill, so your GM has to give you permission to learn how to use this one. Level 7 Intimidation. You have to be a master in Intimidation, and it is a reaction skill. So, you are targeted by or are in the area of a mental spell or effect. Remember that a lot of these skill abilities have the mental tag, so this isn't just for magic. It's anybody that's messing with your brain. You don't believe in any mental twaddle. Well, we're going to interrupt our study session to find out what the word twaddle means.
Twaddle.
Twaddle. Trivial or foolish speech or writing. Nonsense. Okay. I figured that's what it meant. And you're certainly not afraid of it. Well, who's afraid of twaddle, am I right? You scoff and verbally refute the triggering effect, attempting to counteract check using your intimidation modifier with a counteract level of half your level, rounding up. If you succeed, you ignore the triggering effect, though any other creatures that were also targeted or in the area are still affected. If the source of the effect you successfully counteracted understood your language and has an intelligence modifier of -3 or higher, that creature becomes stupefied for 1 round. So this is literally being so hard-boiled that you're like, did you just try to charm person me? Did you just try to cast suggestion on me? Did you think that shit was going to work on me? Did you really try to do that? And then they're just like, Nani? And then they're stupefied for 1 round. That's kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. That is really cool. Why is it uncommon? Like, do you have to prove to your GM that you just are one hard-boiled son of a bitch? Oh, you can only do it once per day, though. Ah, that's not cool. I thought this was like, every time I find an ability and I'm like, damn, that ability's so good, they're like, hey, balance. And I'm like, never mind. Alright, let's see. Terrified Retreat. Here we go. Terrified Retreat. This is a level 7 general skill feat for the Master of Intimidation. When you critically succeed at the demoralize action, if the target's level is lower than you, the target is set to fleeing for 1 round. Well, that's cool. Oh my. I mean, that is good. Okay. That's really cool. That's spicy right there. That means that, like, a legendary person for 1 action could send 25 regular-ass people just running away. That's awesome. Let's see. Too Angry to Die. This is a rare skill available in Kingmaker, which is more than likely the campaign that I will be running when I start running Pathfinder. This is a level 12 general skill. I guess you get to level 12 in Kingmaker. Nice. Let's see. You must be a Master of Intimidation, and it is a reaction, and it doesn't say you can only do it once per day. Trigger. You stand up from prone after waking up from being unconscious. Okay, I don't think that means sleeping, though. I think that means that, like, you had the dying condition or were sleeping. Just anything that would make you unconscious. You refused, but it's really funny to think that it only applies when you wake up in the morning. You refuse to yield the battle, even after you've been knocked off your feet and nearly killed. For you, such a brush with death is less something to fear and more a thing to become infuriated by. As you stand up, you roar in defiance, and can attempt to demoralize a foe. I mean, you know, action economy, getting a free demoralize every time you stand up is pretty cool. I prefer maybe not to be dying in this game, because the dying condition is really scary, but I think that's a really dope feat. How do you qualify for such an incredible feat? Do you have to prove to the GM that you're just one hard-boiled son of a bitch? Like, at what? Oh, there might be some spoilers there. Okay, we won't actually look how you unlock that feat. All right. Let's see. Too Angry to Die. That's good stuff. All right, the last one is Scare to Death. Dun dun dun. This is a level 15 legendary intimidation feat that is emotion, fear, general, incapacitation, and skill. You can frighten foes so much they might die. Fuck. Attempt an intimidation check against the will DC of a living creature within 30 feet of you that you sense or observe, and who can sense or observe you. So you don't even have to see it. You just have to know that motherfucker is within 30 feet of you. If the target can't hear you, or doesn't understand the language you're speaking, you take a -4 circumstance penalty. The creature is temporarily immune for 1 minute. Critical success. The target must attempt a fortitude save against your intimidation DC. On a critical failure, it dies. What the fuck? Oh my god! Can you kill, like, the final boss of the game? Like, can you just kill anything with this? What am I even reading? That's incredible. On any... I know it's level 15, but, like, holy shit. On any other result, they become frightened too and are fleeing for 1 round. The critical failure effect has the death trait. If you succeed, they are frightened too. The target becomes frightened 1. The target is unaffected on a critical failure. That's it. It's just not affected on a critical failure. A failure, they are frightened 1. Oh my god. That's really cool. That is so cool. Oh my goodness. Welp. Yeah. Make sure you don't dump your your charisma stat on your barbarian, guys. Oh my goodness. I mean, just make sure you're training the skill, but like, yeah. That's awesome. Huh. All right. Well, that's it. That's all Intimidation had to offer us. Now, I know that the next skill is going to be a little bit of a doozy. Maybe. It's the lore skill. There are lore feats involved with it, and you use lore to learn or to earn money and to basically fill in the gaps on knowledge skills, flesh out your background. So I am curious about it, but we will do that in a different stream because I have a game at 8 o'clock, and I want to do a little bit of last-minute prep for it. Yeah, and Orpheus, it's only 1 Pac-Man, so if there's 3 people there, you could use 3 Pac-Mans to try and kill all 3 of those people, with that ability, I guess. Like, holy shit. That's crazy. Alright. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll continue learning Pathfinder more and more and more as we go. We'll be playing some Pathfinder on Tuesday. I'll be back tomorrow morning to prep some Curse of Strahd Daybreak, and we'll play some Curse of Strahd Daybreak. Tomorrow night we got Mythic Odyssey, Monday Odyssey Prime, and so many games, so much coming up. Hope everybody has a wonderful Saturday night, and I'll see you next time.